a lot of agility items to make her do more damage. You can see there's a lot of different ways you can play Venge. Conversely, there's a lot of different ways you can play each hero in League of Legends. So, and based on your playstyle, you might want to complement that by going a certain rune set or going a certain mastery tree or any combination of. You can mix it. You can be all around good for everything. Or you can be very focused on one thing and very weak towards other. I'm sure as the game progresses and as people really realize what the potential of these heroes are, there are going to be a lot of standards. Right now, Ashe is a very standard pick, and the very standard thing to go on her is a lot of critical damage increases and getting items that influence her critical chance and things like that. But as the game progresses, you might find that maybe it's better to go a little bit more utility and increase her hit points so she can be a little bit more of a force to be reckoned with late game. Maybe she won't be so squishy. Again, these are things that I'm just talking off the top of my head, but as you could see, as the game evolves, any game evolves, you kind of see what the standard is that a lot of people do. Relate that to the cookie cutter. Just like in Warcraft 3, there's a cookie cutter way to play Orc. There's different ways and units you could possibly go, but it's been found through years and years of practice, that the Blade Master is a very, very effective first hero. Sure, you could go Tauren Chieftain first. Maybe you'd be able to creep a little bit more effectively, or you'll have that good disable through Stomp. You can have Endurancer and make your units run a lot faster, but you lose a lot of that harassing and damage output of and really the only damage output the Orc has through the Blade Master. And it's just been found that the regular cookie cutter way of doing things, as time has progressed, and watching pros play, watching semi-pros play, and just watching players play the game while you're playing, even average level players, you see what they do and you kind of imitate that and make it work for you. So that's going to happen in League of Legends. It happens with every game. That's just how it works. So we talked about the mastery tree. That's offense, defense, and utility. And again, it looks exactly like the talent tree in World of Warcraft. Currently, I think you can have, let me calculate this, how many points you can have. 30 points to distribute in those trees however you want. To get all the way down to the bottom of any tree, it requires 20, so 21 points in any individual tree to get to the very bottom ability in each tree, which isn't necessary. Isn't really a necessity. Excuse me. Right now, I'm experimenting with a very mixed build. I've got 4 points in offense, so that I can get Archmage's Savvy, which increases my ability power, and I got the increase to Cripple. Cripple is a summoner spell ability that I'll talk about next, and I always get that with a lot of my heroes that I'm playing now, regardless of what hero I'm playing. So I wanted to get the increased benefit to getting it. I could get Cripple and not get this ability in the talent tree, but it wouldn't be as effective. Putting up 1 point into this spell, or into this tree, allows the exhaust spell, that's what it's called, exhaust. Reduces the target armor and magic resistance by 25 for the duration. Increases the duration of it, and it... I actually thought it reduced its cooldown, but it doesn't. Either way, it's still a nice 1 pointer, and it's right at the top of the tree. So that's all I put for offense. I got 11 points into the defense tree. Lately, I've been playing a lot more of the tank-type heroes. Again, Dr. Mundo, some of the other ones I'll talk about maybe in another cast. I want to limit it to maybe just those two so we can kind of focus on that. Maybe I'll do a whole episode of this where we just talk about champions because there's so many of them. So for the defense tree, I've got increased magic resistance, increased armor, increased dodge chance, things that make me a better tank early on. The utility tree I really liked. I usually before I started mixing my points, I had all my points into the utility tree because I found it was very, very effective for the nice little bonuses you get. One of the nicest spells it has is called Spatial Accuracy, and this decreases the delay on your teleport spell, which is cast time, and decreases its cooldown by 5 seconds, which is really, really sweet. It decreases its delay by half a second, so that's not too crazy, but the teleport spell is a very, very unique spell, and that's the other summoner ability that I go, and again, I use the same 2 summoner abilities on pretty much every hero. Sometimes I changed it up. I'll tell you what, earlier on, we'll talk about summon abilities, and I'll kind of go into what I did with those, or how I've kind of changed since I started playing it. You can increase your total health and mana regeneration with the utility tree, increase your champion's mana pool, There's an ability called Greed, which generates a 1 gold for you every 10 seconds. So if a game is lasting, a typical, 30-minute game or longer, they usually last longer than that. Times 60, can be quite a bit of gold added up over time. And gold is used to buy items and things like that, just like in Dota. Meditation increases mana regen, just a lot of useful things that work pretty much for most of the heroes. Again, I don't know if I'd go through the trouble of respecking my mastery tree if I was to play Dr. Mundo. Again, we talked about him not having a mana pool, so meditation would be 3 points I have in here that are pretty much wasted. But if I knew that I wanted to play Dr. Mundo for a considerable amount of time, maybe 4 or 5 games today, I might switch around my utility tree to be a little bit more effective and focus a lot on him rather than just trying to be general good for most heroes that I want to play as. The one thing I'd like to see change in the mastery tree is to maybe have a few sets saved that you could just quickly click on and allow, you can name it. Like maybe I could say, maybe I want to make a specific tree just for Dr. Mundo. So I'd save it as Dr. Mundo's tree. And if I wanted to play Dr. Mundo, I could just click on this and it would auto load up all those talents or all those masteries. So I wouldn't have to go and reset and click through them all again. Again, that's more of a convenience thing, and I'm sure they'll have something similar to that. Someone's had to have commented on that already in the beta forums. And they'll probably use something like that in the real game. So I am at the highest summoner level you can get, level 30 right now. I'm pretty sure you can't go any higher than that because I've been playing a long time and it hasn't gone any higher. So I have all the available summoner spells, summoner abilities to use. Now, in addition to your hero's abilities, each individual hero has a unique set of 4 abilities and I think 2 passives, which I probably didn't mention any of the passive abilities. I'd have to look them up. I don't see them directly linked on their abilities. I'm sure it's somewhere on here. Anyway, we're talking about the summoner spells. As you level up, you get more powerful and more useful summoner spells to use in different situations. I'm just going to go over all of them because there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 11, 12 of them, and we'll just give you a brief overview. So these are you can select any 2 of these to be on your summoner's ability slot, and you can use these throughout the game no matter what hero you pick. These are just standards, and you can pick this and change these right before the game starts in the setup phase of the game when you're picking your heroes and setting up your runes and masteries and all that. You can do that right as the game's starting. You can just switch these out. It's very easy, drag and drop. All right, let's get into it. Exhaust. This is the spell I was talking about earlier that I went through the mastery tree and got and tried to do a little bit increased effectiveness on it. It says it blinds the target, gives it a 100% miss chance, and slows its movement speed by 40% for 3 seconds. And in putting a point in that mastery tree, it also decreases its armor by 25 and magic resistance by 25, and also increases the duration by another half a second. So this would last 3.5 seconds and give those other bonuses. A lot of the heroes, or a lot of the champions in League of Legends they don't have disables. Very useful disables. That Dr. Mundo has a slow throwing his cleaver. Blah. He throws it and it can slow the target. I think it slows it by 30 or 40%. But that's really not that much, and it's not a stun. The guy's still running and moving, so he can run closer to his tower. He can run to his teammates. So it's beneficial to be able to stack slows, especially, or if your hero doesn't have any form of disable, I think Exhaust is a very, very essential summoner ability to get. You can get Exhaust right at level 1. You don't have to be a very high level summoner to get that. So that's one of the abilities you can get right as soon as you start playing, right as the current game stays. The second ability is called Heal. This is pretty self-explanatory. It restores 140 plus 20 times your hero level health to your champion, and whatever 50% of that is, so all nearby allies. Consider this kind of like a mechanism in Defense of the Ancient. A lot of people don't use it correctly. That 50% to nearby allies is very, very useful. And support heroes that play more of a healing type role, and maybe someone who's just more, again, I guess the easiest word to say it is just support heroes. That's what they're called. Would be very beneficial to have this healed, again, to help with pushes and keeping tank heroes and damaging heroes in their lanes without having to make too many runs back to the base to heal up, or to save them at the last second if they're being targeted. Now, this isn't something that you can target. It's something that you just click and it turns it on, and you're healed for whatever the amount is, and whoever's around you gets healed by that amount too. The third ability is called Teleport. After 4 seconds, it's a channeling spell. It teleports your champion to a target friendly minion or turret.